Hi everyone, welcome back to an upload that I did last week that had surprisingly went viral, which was really good to see. So I've invited Justin back on because we're going to do a part 2 to our Tudor video. Justin, cheers for coming back.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you. I just want to say that I did not expect that outcome, and I'm so thrilled. Thank you for all of my old clients who have reached out to me. It's been great.
And then also, Todd has joined us as well. If you remember Todd from the live stream, he is a big Tudor fan. So he's going to come in and represent our Tudor fan for the day. And we're going to go through some of his collection at the end of the upload.
I think the fact that video went so viral is an indication that it's not a poor man's Rolex, that people love Tudor. That's all. Okay, well, we can go on.
So I went through all of the just awesome comments you guys left after that last upload. I think I've got most of the questions that you asked down, so I'm going to ask Justin those to start with. And also, just to get this out of the way, I know a lot of you were very amused about how I was saying Tudor instead of Tudor. So maybe I'll put a t-shirt link down if you want to buy a Tudor t-shirt. Maybe we'll do a merch drop with that on it. I think that's my north of England accent. I think Tudor sounds too posh for somebody from Manchester. So you'll probably hear me keep calling it Tudor.
It's your accent, so like, what are you gonna
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, let's kick this off with a couple of watches that we didn't talk about, which is, no surprise because of Tudor's catalogue. But the first one, the P01. Talk us through the P01 because you were there. I think you were there for the launch, were you, or just shortly after the launch?
Yeah, I was. That watch got a really bad reputation, kind of like the ugly stepchild. But P01, it's not my cup of tea, but I respect it for what it is. So I think it was like the late 60s, the US Navy, I believe, commissioned Tudor to create us a dive watch for the Navy. So Tudor created this watch, hence the name. So it was a prototype, the P01. Prototype 1. So when they released it, they essentially took the original prototype, which actually never came to fruition, and recreated it. It's different in terms of the bezel, right? So there's an action on the front of the case. You click it down, and then that enables you to move the bezel left or right. So visually, if I'm not mistaken, you can also use that bezel as a GMT function, if I'm not mistaken. And then they also move the crown to 4 o'clock. They say it's safer at 4 o'clock, like if you're, in rugged adventures or something like that.
Being a Tudor fan, what did you think of the P01? I think we'd spoken about it on the live stream, but I can't remember whether you were a fan of it or not.
I am in the same camp as Justin. David from Scottish Watches, who has one and he loves it. For me, it just looked really, really chunky. And I get it. It's tooly, like it's a tool watch. And the design is specifically to be ruggedized like that. But to me, I don't know. It's just a little too much. I didn't like the way the end links were on it. Like it was this massive thing on the wrist. And maybe I just don't have manly enough wrists for it. I don't know. To what you were saying, Justin, I do like a 4 o'clock crown on some watches. That is kind of cool. So it's not really, but I have one of my kind of daily wears is the King Turtle from Seiko. Nice. And it is comfortable because I'm a lefty. So I wear it on the other hand too. So it doesn't dig into my wrist the same. So it's nice.
I think the prototype function of it was the end links lifted up there and then like locked the bezel in place. I think that was the unique thing about it. Did they have it in the catalogue for, it was a couple of years, wasn't it? 3 or 4 years maybe.
They just discontinued it, I think last year, if I'm not mistaken.
So next up, one of the big things that we forgot to talk about on the last upload, and a few of you called me out in the comments, was the Black Bay GMT watches, which I believe was in-house, or it was like a collaboration movement that they created.
That was absolutely a big seller. The Pepsi bezel is iconic in the watch world, period. But when a brand that is linked to Rolex, who is known for that Pepsi bezel, and recreates it essentially with their Pepsi aluminum bezel insert, it did really well. A few years after that, they released the white dial. That watch also did very well. And also the steel and gold, quote unquote, diet root beer was also a great seller.
I know there was a little bit of comments at the start of that there was the GMT movement date function was off. Did you see any of that?
Yes, that was a thing. I believe in like the first batch released, if you got one of those, you probably had the issue with the jumping hour and the date function. We saw a few come in for service. They fix it right away. They send it right back. Once they started releasing more, they had solved that issue already.
How did the S&Gs go?
The S&G does well. What I like about that watch is the colorway. Black and brown, I feel like it goes with anything. You know, it has a little bit of gold on it, right? They're not, you know, solid gold links or anything like that, but the bezel is gold. The links through the center are capped. The crown is gold as well. The steel and gold, I think right now in general is just out of fashion, right? So many people aren't buying the S&Gs or steel and gold. Same thing with like Rolex, right? Most people want either solid gold or stainless steel.
Justin, can you put to rest this? Sam just said it. He said it's a third-party movement or something like that. I understood that Tudor owns Kinesi. That's their movement. So it's not like they're using someone else's. It's their own technology. They just have a different company that makes those, but it's their company, correct?
I don't want to dive too deep into this because I don't want to say anything wrong. I believe they own 75% of Kinesi. There are other brands as well who utilize the Kinesi movements. Norcane, I believe, is one.
Breitling, I think.
And we can go into that too. So Breitling utilizes the three-handed Black Bay movement. And when they did the swap, right, for the B01 in the Black Bay Chrono, that was when they did that swap. So it's kind of like it's weird because they somehow will call it their in-house movement.
I guess what I'm trying to say is it's not the same as saying, oh, they used the Salida movement. Like, this is a movement they had money in and they designed and developed. Maybe with other, but it's, you know, it's an in-house movement, truly. That's how I understand it.
Yes. And you know, Tudor they opened up their brand new facility in 2023. They've got, everything is done in-house. They've got, you know, the Kinesi factories right there. The Metas testing is right there. You know, it's absolutely amazing what they've done.
No, that was an awesome video when I saw that. It's incredible what they built there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that's not unusual, is it? There is other companies a lot of watch companies that say they have an in-house movement, but what they mean is they own patent or a design patent, I think, on a particular movement but it could be manufactured by somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too big of a watch snob, and I have to say, oh, this movement is in-house. Like, to be honest, that doesn't really matter to me. And for years, I don't think that really mattered anyways.
True.
Rolex used the Zenith, El Primero movement. All these watches had ETA movements in them. Like,
I think that kind of goes in and out of fashion as well, doesn't it? For a while, people really wanted in-house movements, but then you realize that there's a lot of pros to in-house movements, but there's also a lot of negatives. Like Universal Genève is probably the prime example, where that's a company, they have recently been bought back to life by Breitling, but those vintage ones, most of them had in-house movements that can't be serviced. So at least with Salita, ETA, Le Joux, those other type of movements, even though they're not technically in-house, they can almost be serviced by any watchmaker. So.
Totally agree with you 100%. I just think, I guess I just defend them. See, fanboy coming out. I like to defend them because they get so much flack for not being original with Rolex and using other third-party movements. And it's like, no, they're a real watch manufacturer and they're doing the work. That being said, when I bought one of my watches, it's I don't know what they call it, but it's not the Black Bay 36. It's the 41 version of the 36, right? When the in-house movement came out, I was in a scramble to actually buy one of the Salida ones, just because I have a good relationship with my local watchmaker. And I know I can take it to him and I don't have to ship it overseas and he can fix it right there on his bench. And so that was an important point to me, like to your point, Sam, that yeah, it's a solid movement. It's great. And it keeps almost perfect time. I agree with you, Justin. I'm not a snob in that way. I guess I'm just defending the House of Tudor.
The original Black Base with the smiley dial, the red, the blue, the black. When they released those, the red was released first, and then the blue was shortly after. The black dial, black bezel, smiley, that was only produced, I believe, for 6 months. And right after that, they released their in-house movement. So they discontinued that. So that watch, I predict 10, 15 years from now, is going to be one of the more collectible Tudors.
Before we go into the further questions, just a quick reminder here. If you've not seen part 1, check that out. Justin has been in the watch industry for over 15 years. He's worked at Rolex. He opened a Tudor boutique here in Florida, one in North Carolina. He's now doing his own thing. He's got his own company called Hot Horology. I'll leave the links in the description down below. You can follow him on Instagram, TikTok. He's got his own Discord group as well. So he's not speaking on behalf of any of these brands. He's kind of speaking from his experience. I'll just preface that before I get into these other questions. Next one I want to ask you, the Black Bay 58, the gilt dial. I've mentioned this a few times on the live stream. I bought that original Black Bay 58. One of the things that I was particularly frustrated with about it was so successful. They were very hard to get, and I ended up having to buy it on the NATO strap or their fabric strap, and it seemed like it was almost impossible at that time to get the bracelet. And I was a little bit disappointed because I wanted it on the bracelet, but to buy the bracelet aftermarket, the watch, I think when I bought it was like 3,500. Obviously they've gone up since then, but the bracelet alone was nearly $800, even though if you bought it on the bracelet, it was only a couple of $100 more. So did they kind of work that out in the end? Did they have more watches available eventually on the bracelet? Did they end up still doing options where you could only get it on a fabric strap or a leather?
I think the brands that do this, I think they're making a mistake. I think they should push one model number. So for instance, release it on a bracelet and then give them options to buy rubber or buy a NATO strap after the fact. Because that was definitely happening. We would sell tons of the bracelet versions, and then all of the models on the NATO straps and leather were kind of sitting on the showcase. But I, as a salesman too, and as like a watch guy, I always push people to buy the bracelet because you get more bang for your buck, you save some money, and then after the fact, you can go and buy a NATO strap. But yeah, if you do it the other way around, you're definitely spending more money.
Totally agree with Justin on that point. And but to the other point, they make one of the best bracelets in the business. So I don't know that. I mean, it is such a solid and good feeling bracelet that I get the premium char. I mean, it's that $800 is exorbitant for stainless steel bracelet. Christopher Ward, who I also love, I mean, their bracelets are $300 or $400, right? They're maybe a slight tier below the Tudor bracelet, and they're already. I don't know. I don't know what to say other than it's expensive. So definitely buy it on the bracelet to begin with.
Before we go on to looking at Todd's collection and Justin giving his opinion, I wanted to clear up the subject of the Tudor Submariner because we had a lot of questions, people comparing why would Tudor make a Tudor Submariner when there's the Black Bay 58 monochrome. So I wanted to go over what the Tudor Submariner was and how it is different than the Black Bay 58. So the Tudor Submariner, when it was out, it was essentially a Rolex Submariner. They used the same cases, the same bracelets. It just had different dials, different movements in there. So if Tudor was going to create another Tudor Submariner, what collectors want isn't a Black Bay 58 version of it. They would want more of a dive style watch where it would have, of course, the date, probably a Cyclops for the date, a more refined case, crown guards, which the Black Bay 58 doesn't have. The Tudor Submariner wasn't a poor man's version of the Rolex Submariner. The Tudor Sub had its whole military history as well. In fact, there's a great Hodinkee article about soldiers that wore Tudor Submariners in Vietnam, and one that actually got hit by a bullet. I'll leave a link in the description down below. What the Tudor collectors ask for when they ask for a Tudor Submariner is not the Black Bay 58 with a date on it. There's other things that made the Tudor Submariner the Tudor Submariner.
If Tudor released anything and just put Tudor Submariner on it, people would go nuts. It doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? I think it would be really cool if they were to kind of bring that back. But let's be honest, I don't think Rolex would ever allow that.
It is such a massive long shot because I also think for Tudor, it might be an unintentional mic drop moment. It might be like, okay, we did the Tudor Submariner, and then there's no mystery left then, is there? Because regardless, it would be I would put money on it being the best-selling Tudor for many years to come if they did eventually do it. I don't think they are going to do it. I know everybody hopes for it, but I don't think they are going to do it. I wanted to ask you about Tudor's had, I think, a weird marketing with its ambassadors. It seemed like at one time the Tudor ambassadors were kind of all over the place. You had the All Blacks New Zealand rugby team, then you had Lady Gaga, and then she sort of disappeared. You had David Beckham, then you had like Red Bull Racing. So what was your opinion on your time, the ambassadors that they used, and do you think any of them kind of move the needle positively or negatively in the mind of sort of the general public that were coming in and talking to you about Tudor?
Lady Gaga was a strange partnership for them, I think. It wasn't for very long either, by the way. David Beckham is phenomenal. I mean, I think he's one of the most famous people. The women love him. Soccer is massive all over the world. So he's definitely I believe brought a lot of eyeballs to Tudor. The All Blacks, I mean, the watch that was released alongside that partnership, I thought was really cool. The rugby community, they like the watch, but we don't get many rugby guys coming into the store saying, hey, I want to buy this watch. You know, cycling, all of this stuff that they're doing is Tudor Rolex 101. I feel like they've been doing this forever, right? They're just finding different markets to bring everybody in, right? You know, with Rolex, they've got, you know, the equestrian stuff they do and all of that. And then they have, you know, Tudor selecting different niches, which I think is fun.
I think the F1 team's a cool addition too.
F1, yeah, exactly. I mean, F1's got millions of eyeballs. Cars and watches, I think, goes hand in hand too.
Yeah, exactly. IWC leans into that heavily, don't they? Even Casio had the Red Bull ones for a long time. Yeah, F1 and
IWC does this the most clever thing, because they're not allowed to wear those watches during the race, because if their car's on fire, like, that is a serious hazard. A burn hazard. If you watch the drivers who are IWC drivers, their glove has like a screen printed IWC pilot watch on the hand, so it's always in that helmet cam. Cool. You can always see their watch. I was like, that is clever. Yeah. If you watch, I love F1, so if you watch it, you're like, oh, that's a fake watch on his wrist.
So we invited Todd on, who's a big Tudor fan. He's going to go through his Tudor watch collection. We're going to get Justin to give his opinion on it, maybe a bit of background about how well those particular models sold. So Todd, take it away. Let's see what you've got.
The first one is the first one that I got in my collection. I was trying to get a Black Bay 58 when I got this watch. I was doing a lot of bartering and trading on some Facebook groups, which is always a lot of fun. I think this one, and you can tell me, Justin, I feel like this one got discontinued the same way Rolex won't do a Tudor Submariner. I just feel like this one is too much of a date just. The Tudor style. I love this watch. I love the polished center links. It's super tapered. Phenomenal watch. What I love about it is it's also 100 meters water resistant. Like, you literally can do anything with this very, very pretty watch like you would a tool watch. So I'm a big fan of this one. What do you think?
When we were selling them, we didn't have many in the case. I don't know if they just weren't sending them to us. I do know by the time in 2022, when we opened the boutique, the style and the glamour, I believe, was still in the Tudor collection, but they didn't allow it to the US market. So it was a little weird.
The next one that I got in my collection, which really, I know I irritated a bunch of people in the group, right? So I had a, what is that? There's the smaller Omega Speedmaster. I forget what they call that one.
Speedy reduced.
But it's like a 39 millimeter. Speedy reduced. I had it repaired because it was from 1990 and it wasn't doing well. And it cost me a fortune. And I was like, oh man, now I don't ever like wearing that watch. Like, I'm afraid to wear the watch. So I went into this group and I was like, anybody want to trade this for a Black Bay? And I got a bunch of Tudor guys like, you're crazy. No one's doing that. No one's doing that. This one guy was like, I've got the Black Bay 41 and it's got the new, the in-house movement. It's a chunky watch. I love this watch. It's a little bit of a beast, but I don't know. I mean, it's pure class, and this is just this is a Tudor Submariner to me. You know, I know there's others, but this is got that old school vibe.
We had actually discussed that watch briefly on part 1 of this video. Prior to that, it had their ETA movements were housed in that with the smiley dial. And then when they released that was with their new in-house movement. I think it was really impressive at the time. You know, 70 hours of power reserve. It has that classic Submariner, vintage Submariner look. I mean, yeah, the Black Bay is a staple in the collection. It's a beautiful watch.
The next one I got, because you just smashed on my two-tone love.
Sorry about that.
That's all good. I had the 1926 and I had I think it was I don't know if it came in a 41, but it looked like a pancake on my wrist. And I wasn't a fan of that. This is a classic watch. I wanted to get it in the 36, and the two-tone became available in the 36. And this is I have a picture of it. There's a Rolex from like the 1950s that has a very, very similar dial to this. And I mean, even to the indices, the triangular shaped indices. And it's like, you get all the charm of a vintage Rolex without having to worry about it. Because again, 100 meters of water resistance, screw down crown, just a daily beater of a watch if you want to. I don't want to beat up the gold on it. So I wear this with a suit. But yeah, I think these are fantastic watches. My wife has the much smaller, I can't remember if it's 32. with the opaline dial and the blue indices. Like we go twinning sometimes when we go out to dinner.
We're matching.
My man.
I mean,
Yeah.
this watch, you know what's great about this watch? And I wanted to wear this today because we didn't touch on the 1926 in the first episode. But I get so many compliments on this watch. And I think it's because people just don't know about it. The bracelet is so comfortable. So comfortable. And you know, it's all the same aspects. Waterproof. It's a solid watch. You can wear it. You don't have to baby it. The hobnail dial. So I don't know if this is true. I didn't fact check the trainer. So the trainer told me this, but he said that these hobnail dials were made in the same factory that AP did theirs. I don't know if that's true, but this is what was told to me. But it's a stunning dial. It's a dress watch, but it's as comfortable as can be.
How did those sell?
1926 in the Royal, I think one of the best watches for the price point is those two specific watches. But I don't know if it's because of the sports watch craze. Black Bay is definitely the top seller, and these were kind of falling under the radar, I would say. Yeah, for anyone that was looking in this price range, the Royal, I wish that they would add that day and the date function to like a smaller case because it's only offered in the 41. But I mean, regardless, there's some cool dial options. The blue is sharp. The steel and gold models too, they do like that chocolate dial, which is nice. But yeah, definitely underrated. You should definitely go check them out for sure.
Yeah, and that's, I think, Sam, to your question, I think part of the problem is that we just live in a society where dress watches aren't a thing. Like everybody wants a big chunky Rolex Submariner. And so that has become what people wear with a suit or wear on all occasions. You know, I'm just old timey. I like, hey, if I'm dressing up, I'm going to wear a dressy watch. And the last one I have with me today is this. It's the 41, and this one is well loved. If you saw I don't know if it'll come on camera, but this clasp has been through the ringer. It's beat up. There's scratches everywhere. I wear this 90% of the time. I had the Black Bay 36 with that classic blue dial, and my wife, basically, that's her watch now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I tell her, like, that is like, in my opinion, you could tell me that is like one of the hottest watches in the Tudor collection, the blue dial, particularly in the 36. She's always so proud when she wears it out and people comment on her watch. But this is a perfect everything watch. It looks like a dress watch, 150 meters of water resistance, because this is the older one. I think the new ones are only 100 meters, but I mean, this is a watch I'll get buried in, unless my kids take it off my wrist before.
Solid watch. Extremely versatile, like you said. Sport watch. You could dress it up. It looks really good. The blue dial that you just mentioned, it was like a lacquer blue. I can't even explain it, but when you see it in person, actually, Sam, it's very similar to the color of your logo, but you have to see it in person. It's completely different in person. I love it. Sam, what do you think?
I like all of those. Again, I'm not really a dress watchy person, although I think that last one was more of a sports watch. But actually, Justin, I'll ask you if you can put your old Tudor salesman hat on again. What do you think Todd should add next to his Tudor collection?
Oh, there we go.
Let's see.
Present.
Black Bay Chroma.
I knew that's what you were going to say.
Yeah, dude.
I think you could pull the blue off, the flamingo blue.
Yeah, man.
Oh, I'd love to have that.
Amazing.
Those ones are awesome and not easy to find.
No, not easy to find. I mean, it's very similar. How Tudor allocates these watches to the boutiques is the same way that Rolex allocates these watches to the boutiques. There's not many. They go to like the higher spending clients, and it's more difficult for just a random person to walk in and buy them. But with that being said, if you're interested in one, go in and put your name on a list, and there's different options too, right? You can buy it the white dial on that 5-link, I think is really sharp. They do another boutique edition, which is blue on blue. That's also a beautiful watch as well.
I don't think I've seen that one.
That, you know, it's funny, that one didn't do as well as any of the Daring watches. I was a little disappointed in that, but I think it's a beautiful watch for sure. It's got like a pop of red on there, classic navy blue.
That was the Red Bull one that I liked last year that they were wearing. It was a blue it was like blue and black together. It was only the team drivers were getting that watch, and it was like, oh man, that'd be cool just to have just 'cause.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We received maybe one, if I'm not mistaken. Like it's a rare watch for sure.
Before we wrap up here, I did have one other question that I saw in the comments, which was around, for a long time, Rolex did custom dials. There's the very famous Domino's pizza dial that they had, but then they as they moved away from those in recent years, Tudor started doing them. So the very famous Ed Sheeran watches, they've done some collabs with watch companies as well. So I'll get your opinion on those. And then were you ever involved in any inquiries around those?
I helped deliver some custom pieces. I myself never was able to put one together. Some of my old teammates that I used to work with, they've been able to get some done. I absolutely love that they do that. But you have to order, I want to say it was like 50 or more. The brand will customize your dial, customize the case back as well. But also keep in mind too that Tudor as a brand is very picky on who they do this with. If you're out there listening, you have a brand, random brand that people might not know about, you have to submit it to Tudor. If they approve it, they can essentially do whatever you want.
So what you're saying is I can't get one with toddv.com on it. It's probably...
I don't know. If you want to buy Fitbit, you should go ask. Yeah, actually, Todd, if you were to do that, I would buy one. So just let me know.
Got one. All right, we're getting there. 49 more to go.
Well, that was part 2. If you think we missed anything, we might do a part 3. But more importantly, like and subscribe, because Justin will be back on, because we haven't even touched on his experience with Rolex yet. So before we go, Todd, where can everyone find you?
Right there, toddv.com.
And then Justin, where can everyone find you?
You can follow me at hot_horology.
Guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on Casual Watch Reviews. Thanks, guys. Bye.